Hey everybody, what's going on? Todd Patrick here with KBBT. We are here with another Elite 8 angler interview. We are bringing you Mr. Conrad Binetti out of Stuart, Florida. Those of you that don't know Conrad, he's a treat. You guys are going to enjoy this interview. Conrad is actually the inaugural KBBT April Bracket National Champion, where he took home the hardware that said first place. He took home the biggest paycheck, and here he is again, proving himself in Florida, showing himself against the 127 other anglers in this bracket, and he's going to see if he can go back-to-back to lead KBBT off with a potential back-to-back champion. So you guys are going to have to stay tuned. We are in the Elite 8. He's only got 7 other anglers ahead of him. He's got them all in his sights to take down, and we're going to see if he can do that. But before we get into that, before we get into the interview, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of stats on Mr. Conrad Binetti. Conrad has been through 4 grueling rounds so far, just like all the other anglers to get to this point. He went against Texas angler Mr. Christopher Delgado in round number 1, where he put up 97.25 inches. He went against Arkansas angler Mr. Joel Spear, put up 98 inches in round number 2. He went against one of the Cinderella stories, one of the great KBBT stories that you'll ever see, in Mr. Doc Acosta out of Texas, and he put up 99.25 inches. And then this past weekend, he went up against Mr. Keelan Kyle and put up 92.25 inches as well. So he's been through a gauntlet. He's been through some names. Those of you that are fans of KBBT and have been following us from the beginning, Christopher Delgado is a good angler out of Texas. And then, like I said, that feel-good story with Doc Acosta and the Combat Wombats and all the cool, stories and the history there. That was a fun. Did I lose you?
Gotcha. You're back.
All right, cool. Sorry about that. So to get into, the gauntlet that you've done, I just went through the anglers. You have won, if I'm not mistaken, 8 weeks in a row to get to this point. This would be week number 9 for you, undefeated in KBBT tournament.
It's 10 anglers total. I don't know, 8 weeks. It's 10 anglers.
8 weeks, because you went back-to-back twice so far.
That's right.
And those back-to-back weeks are grueling, right? So you get in and you got to go 10 hours one day, and you got to go 10 hours the next day.
I'm only fishing 5. I'm fishing 5 hours both, so it's like 10 hours for 2 days that I'm fishing.
Oh, okay. So you got to rub that in. All right. Well, hey, some of these other guys fish 10 back to back.
I know. I feel for them guys. I really do. I feel for them. I do 10 for 2 days.
It must be nice to be able to go out and put up 90-some inches and pack it up and go home after 5 hours, right? But
yeah.
You do have a very great average in this event. You're sitting at 96.69 inches as your average length through 4 weeks, with your big bag coming in at 99.25, and your low actually this past week with 92.25. We're going to talk about that a little bit too. But you're actually going up against someone who's put up a 106-inch bag in this event, Mr. Silas Garrett out of Texas. Now, those of you that don't know Silas Garrett, the guy is an absolute stud hammer out of Texas. And if you guys don't know his name, you're going to get to. We'll get his interview coming up for you guys. But we're going to talk about Conrad. But Mr. Silas Garrett's average is 94.69. He's only 2 inches behind you, Conrad. Tell us a little bit about, what do you think about your matchup coming up? Tell us what you think about Silas's performance thus far to get to where he's at, to be able to face you, and tell us what you're kind of expecting for Saturday for your round of 8 matchup versus Silas Garrett?
I mean, kid's definitely a stick. I mean, I've been paying attention to what he's been doing. I think it's going to be a grind to the end with him. I am going to be getting an early start this week. I'll be getting out at 6 a.m., which will be the first time in this tournament I've done that. It ain't going to be no 10 o'clock start. Ain't going to be no 11 o'clock in the water. It's going to be 6 a.m. I'm going to get the full 10 hours. Me with the full 10 hours, that's a scary person right there, man. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Me with 10 hours, that's going to be I'm going to be a very hard out with 10 hours. I put up high 90s, mid 90s fishing for 4 or 5 hours. You give me 10 hours to break down a body of water and figure out what I need to figure out. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I am confident. I'm very confident. This kid's good. I just don't think he's faced anybody like me just yet. I think he'll figure that out come Saturday.
I mean, the confidence obviously just radiates off of, the way you talk, the way you're presenting yourself, the way you feel. Being the previous champion of the last bracket to be moving forward, you couldn't expect anything less than for your confidence to be through the roof at this point. You've got to feel like you're on top of that mountain, and you probably feel like you're probably maybe even looking down a little bit and just accepting any challenge that comes your way. You've had some naysayers a lot, and you've also got a lot of supporters. You're going out there and you're doing your thing. You're going out to multiple different bodies of water. It's not like you're going to one little honey hole and doing your thing. You're breaking down different bodies of water that you're confident at, and you're doing something quite amazing, honestly, in the kayak bass fishing community. So you want to tell us a little bit about the grind that you've been going through and the way, maybe how many different bodies of water that you've actually been breaking down throughout this tournament to get to where you are?
I mean, I dedicate a lot of my life to fishing. I mean, I've put so many things to the side. I mean, work, fishing, taking care of my kids. I mean, those are, I chilled out with the dating, the online dating. I put to the side for a while. That was starting to interfere with my fishing, talk about getting late starts. That was getting late starts. So I said, I can't be doing that. I said, we got to get focused on what we're doing. And that's it, man. I said, I'm going to go at it. I love it. It's a passion. I've always loved fishing since I'm a child. Now to do it in a competitive level and realize that it's not in your head. You actually are as good as you always thought you were. I mean, when you're going up against some of the best anglers in the country and giving them a problem, you realize to yourself, you really are as good as you thought you were. And now it's time to just keep on. Go even harder now. Because if you give even more, who's going to stop you?
Yeah, I mean, and then, you had mentioned that you were kind of exhausted after getting through the April bracket. You made that known that you're ready to be put out, kind of, take me out, and you cried that out a couple of times, against Delgado. I picked against you. I thought that maybe, that maybe the well was running dry. Right. Against Joel Spear out of Arkansas, you said the same thing. But ever since then, I think your fire got relit when you faced Doc Acosta. When you seen the backing that Doc had, and it was kind of like you maybe had that mentality to where it was you versus the world in that event, right? Because you had how many fans Doc brought with his amazing personality, is an amazing story. Right. It seems like maybe your fire got relit and you put up your biggest bag of the tournament that week with 99 1/4. Is that true, or is that just something that an outsider maybe seen and it was just coincidental? Was that true that maybe your fire was relit during that match?
No, 110%. It definitely got lit. There's been times where I've just, based on the changes that were made in the tournament, losing the hour, it went to 6 a.m. Then we lost the hour on the back end. It went to 4 a.m., no more 5. I mean, I felt that now things were starting to really stack against me besides my late starts in the morning. Now I'm getting a late start. I'm losing that on the back end, which in Florida is huge. That 4 to 5 o'clock bite with the with how hot it gets, you can do a lot of damage in that last hour. Losing that, now I was really saying to myself, I'm really making this almost impossible on myself. But then I said, you know what? You're the defending champion. I mean, I almost bowed out. I hit up Greg Nosar and I said, hey, I think I'm going to step out of this one. But then at that point, I said to yourself, nah, man, you just won the championship. These guys who are going to grind just as hard as you did, they deserve to either go through you or get taken out by you. They deserve that. So you're going to man up, you're going to ball up, and you're going to get in this tournament and do what you got to do. And that's when it started getting, the fire got lit again. Doc Acosta, much respect for the man. I mean, a military man. God bless his service. I seen the support he had, and I said, yeah, it's time. It's time to start. It's time to start getting back at it as hard as I could again. And that with my schedule, I kind of have to pick and choose when I have to go give it my everything or when I could take a step back a little bit, like this past weekend. The Keelan Kyle, no disrespect to him, he was putting up in the mid-80s, low 80s, and survived up until that point. My worst total was 84, and that was week 1 of the April bracket. So I said to myself, you don't have to kill yourself. You got 4 to 5 hours. Fish, put up like high 80s to low 90s, and it should work out. It's worked out to this point. At any week, I realized that my, doing that could be a major problem. But from here on out, you ain't getting none of that. Silas Garrett's going to get 100% of what I got to give him. He's not going to get 5 hours. He's going to get full 10 hours.
He deserves that too. I mean, for a guy, let's talk about Silas here for a brief second. He is your opponent this week.
Right.
When you can go out and put up 106 inches.
Oh yeah.
You can't never really call that a fluke. I mean, the guy went out and fished his butt off week 1 versus
right.
Dave Newman out of Texas, and he said, everybody, I'm here to play. Pick me.
Yeah.
And Silas Garrett put his name on the board. He threw his name in the hat at that moment in time and said, I'm not here to play. I'm here to win this thing. And you have 7 other anglers that are in this Elite 8 with you, and they all are pretty confident, and they've found themselves, and they're in a rhythm, and they're in a groove, and they're all coming in with confidence. So from here on out, it's not easy. In a way, it's not saying that it was easy before, but now you're facing the creme de la creme of the event, and it's going to be a treat to see your matchup with Silas. Do you have any words for Silas? Anything that you'd like to say to him, or out of respect, or maybe any trash talking, anything like that?
No, I mean, just let him know that, I mean, he's facing a guy that just losing isn't really an option for me. I mean, I'm going to give it everything I got. I've been down. I think I've been down before. I mean, the championship, I was down by 40, 50 inches. And I remember just sitting back and being just utterly embarrassed. I mean, I felt embarrassed.
Matt Frentress was laying it down on championship.
Frentress was laying it down to me, and honestly, I had him as a joke coming into it. I said, this guy doesn't even deserve to be. He put up 60 inches his first week. I said, he shouldn't even be where he's at, But then I watched him progress as he went, and I still thought me and Kennan's matchup was the championship. I said, me and Rodney Kennan, that's the real championship of this bracket. Once I get past that, Pepin, he's up north. He's going to have a hard time getting past 95 inches. I mean, he's doing it with smallmouth bass, so you can't knock the guy. You put that guy fishing anywhere else in the country where he's got a mixed bag, I wouldn't want to face Jonathan Pepin with that situation. He had smallmouths, and he was kind of putting 95 was his max. So I said to myself, if I can get past Kennan, the championship should be easy. Well, boy, was I wrong. Frentress put up an incredible day, and now we're to Silas Garrett, and no disrespect. I got no trash talk to him. Just want him to understand he better have one of his best days he's ever had, because I'm going to give it my all, and it's been working out for me. It's been working out with what I've been doing. I've making a lot of right decisions, but at the same time, that could come to an end. I realize that this all could come to an end, but I'm going to get everything I got, and I'm sure he is as well.
And to you were kind of comparing, that Jonathan Pepin matchup. Michigan showed out again in this bracket with 3 anglers in the top 16,
Unbelievable.
two in the Elite Eight facing each other to come out of the North. Now, Jeremy Baker has shown on Lake St. Clair that he can get close to that 100-inch mark, maybe a little bit higher average than Jonathan Pepin was able to do in the UP there. At Lake St. Clair, I've seen bags go over 100 several times. If it becomes Conrad Binetti versus a Jeremy Baker championship, is your mindset a little different than what it would have been or than what it was when you did face Jonathan Pepin in the April Final Four bracket?
Kenan, you mean, and Frentress? I didn't face Pepin.
Yeah.
Right, I had the mentality
your thought about it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he's putting up some crazy numbers as well. And with Frentress showed me 99.25, right. Frentress, he got me on point to, hey, don't look past anyone. Don't, you can pre-plan, but when it comes down to it, it comes down to that day on the water. You can look at the stats, you can look at all, that absolutely means nothing. That all gets thrown out the window because you never know what that man's going to do that day. He might change up everything and go to, he might drive to California. I mean, you never know in this sort of, anything's an option, anything is game. So you don't know where and what this guy's willing to do. But you really can't plan for, all right, well, he's been putting up mid 80s to low to high 80s, low 90s. I should be good. You never know what the man is capable of doing on that Saturday or Sunday. So you just got to go out and give it your all and pray for the best, man, and fish clean. Don't have that, oh, my God, I lost a 23-inch bass at the boat. You have to fish to perfection, especially now with this Elite Eight. You ain't going to get many chances at it. You lose fish, and that's where the pressure comes in. These guys are going to feel that. They haven't felt that yet. I felt that. I felt that in an Elite Eight, in a Final Four, in a championship. Every bite is so crucial. Every time that bass jumps and shakes his head and you see a little lure going back and forth, you cringe because you know what that means. So it's a different ball game now. I've been there, so I kind of feel like I'm confident with that. These guys are going to be facing that, and we'll see. We'll see who can come out through all that.
Yeah, and out of the Elite Eight, you are obviously the only angler that's made it this far previously. So you've experienced that pressure, that little lump in your throat, like you say, when you see a big bass jump and understand how clean you need to fish to advance because the detail or the attention to detail and the margin of error is very small here. So, you're facing Silas Garrett out of Texas, and I kind of want to stay with this just for this question.
Right.
What do you feel it's going to take out Silas for your best five?
I'm thinking the lowest you're going to have to high 90s. 99 would probably be. That's probably going to be the lowest you're going to come. I mean, honestly, you better be. I mean, comfortably, I'd like to be around 102, 103. To feel comfortable. 99 might get it. This kid put up 106. Obviously, he's fishing Texas. I'm fishing Florida. This heat is coming into play now. That's why getting out at 11 o'clock the other day, I mean, it was hot. It was bluebird skies. I said, what am I going to do here? But I figured out a pattern. They were hitting the big swim bait. They wasn't eating the big swim. They were just hitting it. But it was giving up their location. So as soon as they would hit it, you would watch them stage up in that next hydrilla patch. You grab your Senko rod now and you pitch that into that little patch that they just moved into. And that's how I was catching them. So,
everybody, you need to listen to things like this, like the guys like myself that are learning. You throw these search baits out there and you're looking for bass and they give up their location. That's how these guys that know what they're doing out here on the water, that's how they break down this water. That's how they find fish. And that's how you say, okay, they weren't biting that, but hey, I know where you are now. how about you eat this worm, or how about you eat this Texas rig, or
That's
you know,
it.
whatever you want to throw in there. How about you eat this creature bait that I'm gonna punch through these pads because I know you're in there. So I mean, that's great information, Conrad.
Yeah.
For
It's a great tactic. It's a great tactic.
Yeah.
You cover water. You still can cover a bunch of water, and most of the time you'll get them to move. They'll move. They'll swirl it. They'll close mouth hit it, and once you see that, they give up their location, and now you break out something, usually a smaller bait. Senko is killer for that. To me, that's the ultimate bait, wacky rig Senko, and that's it. That's how you do it.
I lost you for a second. Are we good?
Gotcha, you're back.
You said, the bass gives up their information, hit their location, and it's like almost like a search and destroy mission. It's like, I'm telling you now what ammo do I need to take you out? And you start using what you need to use and go catch those bass. And it's been a treat to see you this far, Conrad. Honestly, I've been on the fence about you, and I'll be candid with you and be transparent with you here as an interviewer to the interviewee. I kind of at the beginning was like, this dude, like, man, what are you doing, bro? And then it's like, I like this guy. Got to talk to you a little bit and got to know you a little bit better. Got to see your personable side, not just your fun side where you're throwing out crazy memes.
Right.
And then got to the point I'm like, shut up, Conrad, just fish. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now you're back here again, and you even if people don't like you, Conrad, because of your antics online, which in my opinion, I would say they're all in good fun. But, how do you feel, about the naysayers out there? You have anything to say to those guys? Maybe the people that don't know you as well, or that are watching this interview and like, screw this guy or whatever, while we're doing this. What would you say to somebody? To lighten the mood up a little bit and show your personal side.
I mean, hey, we've brought entertainment to this KBBT, man. Like I said before, we could talk about worms, we could talk about buzz baits and spinner baits, and we're all talking about the same things, man. We had to bring a little bit of excitement to it. We had to bring a little bit of, these matchups have been built up now a lot because, you get a little trash talking going, you get a little, braggadocious. It creates something. It means a lot more to that guy who's facing you. You know what this means to Silent Garrett to be facing me this weekend? I don't know if he's going to that. Do you know what this means to be taking on the champ who's called his shots the whole way? And I've been lucky as hell. I mean, don't get me wrong. This magical ride, I keep waiting for it to end. But here we are, the Elite Eight. I mean, I put these things up, and I say to myself, oh, Jesus Christ, well, here you go. This is probably the weekend where you get wiped out. And it isn't. And it isn't. And here we are again. So for the guys who are haters, they're just going to hate, man. Nobody likes a guy who's winning. Those guys that they're going to hate, man, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they're going to hate on you. And it is what it is, man.
People are always looking for a feel-good story to knock off the champ, or people are looking for that next new run. Like everybody rooted for the Patriots at the beginning, but after they've won, now it's like, can we get somebody next?
Right.
So you're kind of like, you can't compare you to the Patriots, but I mean, you're building something here with your name and with KBBT and what you have done so far. And if you can go back to back, let's get into that a little bit. What would it mean to you to go back to back? I mean, you kind of already validated your the way that you thought about how you could fish against superior, well, not superior, but great competition across the country, back to back, and win the first two KBBT bracket tournaments, and the second one being with a field double the size of the original bracket of 64 with 128.
Yeah, I mean, it would mean, forget about what it would mean to me. I mean, to be able to have gotten through all these weeks and to still be here and to finish that, I mean, if it came down to it, I mean, it would solidify all that, that you worked for, and all the grind that you put in, and your heart and soul that you put into it at the end of it. Because when it's over, like the last one, I mean, it's such a release of, like, it's over. That's why it was very hard to transition right into that next one. That's not easy. You go from that one to, well, these guys aren't going to have that. This is it until next year. It'll be unbelievable, man. I mean, and, the haters, oh, my God. I mean, I get back to back. I mean, there's so many, the memes. I mean, I'm going to put up, I'm going to be holding 2 trophies on my chest now. I mean, this is going to get crazy.
Well, you know what?
Here's
one thing that nobody can take away from you. If you do earn a second trophy, you earned your first trophy, you went out there and fished just like everybody else did, and everybody else had an opportunity to take you out, throughout the bracket, and nobody was able to do it. Even though this style is a 1v1, so you only face who you got to face.
Right.
I think that's maybe, something that people are like, if I faced you, and he wasn't facing this guy. But here's the thing. I went back and looked, and you had the biggest bag several times in these. So, that is something to be said in itself. But to get, to transition into something else, you're obviously you're the April champion. You're looking to go back to back. You've done interviews, things like that. What, since you won the April bracket, what has been the most favorite thing maybe that's happened to you, or what are some cool things that have been said maybe off camera, maybe from some anglers, or what touched you the most probably since you won the championship from winning the Rodney Kinnan KBBT championship?
I mean, obviously the thing with Kennan, you guys doing that whole thing with putting his name on that trophy, that was awesome. As far as what was said to me, Doc Acosta, man, because I've heard it before, he said that I pushed him to a level he's never been pushed before. He had to get so laser focused. And I had a California angler message me that one time, Damian Thau. I mean, we went at it in a month and a half long. And he said, man, when I seen the numbers you were putting up, I think I was at like 118 inches for the month and a half. He was at like 114 when it went off for the week before. So I had a good lead. When they came back on, I think I beat him 118 to like 117.75. I mean, he said, I pushed like never before because I seen the numbers you were putting up. And, when a Doc Acosta and a Damian Thau, when these guys tell you that you push them to a point where no one's ever done that to them before. They went out earlier, they went out later, they tried different baits, they fished different ways. When you hear that, I mean, it's such a, I mean, it makes you feel good, you know what I mean? Because you're making that angler better, which is just better for the sport, man. It's just better for the sport. You're making anglers better. I mean, even the Florida State Challenges, I don't want to take credit for, the Florida State Challenges have gotten so much more competitive. You got so many more guys putting up such big numbers because they started to say, hey, this guy came out of nowhere and he's putting up some crazy numbers. No, the Doug Wilsons, the Danny Gans of the world, the Woodrings, Matthew Kaspareks, all Florida hammers, man. Everyone's putting up these crazy numbers now because it's you try to stay in competition with these guys, you know what I mean? And you push each other, So it's cool, man. It's cool. And to hear that from a Doc Acosta, and it's you definitely hold that, man. You hold it in your heart, and it pushes you to keep going, man. Pushes you to keep going. Maybe you could do that for the next guy. Maybe Silas Garrett will have that this weekend. Hopefully it doesn't come to fruition. Hopefully he craps out. But his next opponent he can do well with.
Yeah. Hey, well, Silas is definitely going to put up a fight. There's no question about that. And we know that you're going to come out swinging. I know you probably made arrangements with work to make sure that you can push through to the championship.
Yes,
it will be the Elite 8 on Saturday. The Final Four will fish on Sunday, and we will know who fishes head-to-head next Saturday to go for the championship.
Yeah. Yep.
Conrad, to get into something that maybe a lot of people are wondering, and as an interviewer, I owe this to everybody else out there.
Right.
A lot of people want to see you go to a live event. A lot of people want to see you back up what you can do in the KBBT and to show up on the same body of water versus other anglers. And
Right.
people want to know, is Conrad Binetti going to step up, and is he going to show up at a big event? And do you have plans to do that? If so, do you have an event in mind? And third, is your confidence level still that high outside of Florida or in a live event?
Oh yeah, I mean I've fished a lot of not majority of the country, but from the Northeast on down. I've always done well, man. I've always done well. I push hard. I pay attention to details. I don't try to do. I try to do it at a high level when I take on something. Live event, of course, man. I mean, I qualified for the KBF national championship, all that. With work, my schedule, I get out 8 a.m. in the morning. To go to a live event, I can't do it. I can't do it because of, you got to, you understand why. I mean, I get out 8 a.m. on Saturday, 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. So I got to make arrangements to do a live event. It's coming. It is coming. I know it's not the top level. I've actually taken some of that back. I always said the guys who do it on a live event level, that's the top level. No, it isn't. Because a lot of those guys, they do team things where their buddies is on the other end of the lake and they let them know what's going on over here. So, there's a lot of things that come into live events that isn't so perfect the way they like to make it seem. They like to make it seem like, oh, I'm winning on a live event, so I'm the best of the best. Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. I used to think that too until I started listening to people, and they got, they go out in a team of 6 or 7, they each hit different parts of the lake, and then they message each other, oh, come over here because it's good over here. So are live events I don't know. You got guys who pre-fish for an entire week. You guys who show up the day before a live event and try to fish the next day. There's a lot of variables that come into live event fishing as well. Just like this. It's a different format. This is a different format. I respect both of them equally the same. I used to be a live event guy. Yeah, the live event guy is live. No. I think this is a lot harder than a one-day live event. Doing it week after week versus guys around the country. This is a lot harder. And I've heard guys who fish live events say this is a lot harder. So, no disrespect to the live event guys. It still is. It's another format that if you're doing it at a top level, you got to get respect. Eric Siddiqui's, Ryan Lambert, who I see does very well at live events. You got to give those guys respect. You have to. Whatever format it is, if someone's dominating at or being at a high level at, you got to respect it. If you don't, that's because you have a problem with you, and you're just not going to give credit where it's due. And you got people that are like that. I'll give credit where it's due. You got some people that they'll just try to attack. And like I said, you can see right through that. You see right through that. But live event.
You have mentioned several times to where you'd like to take on some of these guys head to head because you feel the urge, you feel the need to even say, hey, buddy, if what I've done so far doesn't please you, where can we meet up and I'll show you that I can outfish you. Your confidence is that high. So, everybody is dying to see Conrad at a live event. You say it's coming. Yeah. Do you have a date? Do you have an event that's in mind? Anything that you're going to try to work out with work that you're going to try to be at?
I mean, I've called on so many favors right now that, with my lieutenant, even this one, I told her in the April bracket that, I ain't going to bother you anymore after this. Thinking in my head, all right, I'll probably get knocked out the first round of the next one, so I won't have to call in any more favors. But here we are. And here I am the night before calling in favors. I'm going to need Saturday off. I'm going to need possibly Sunday off. And then I'm going to need the following Saturday off. And you know what? She granted me those. I got them. You know what I mean? Because, again, you do hard work. They see that. You get a little bit of help on the back end. So as far as the live event,
Yeah, so that being said, really, the live event's up in the air. It's something that you want to pursue, but with work, with work and everything, we'll see.
Exactly. And believe me, I'm not afraid to come to a live event. Trust, I'm very confident in what I do. You give me a couple days on that body of water, I'm pretty sure that I can put something together. I'm pretty sure. But the same thing is, you show up to one live day event, that's not enough, man. That's something that you have to continually get on. You got to show up to one, then the next one, then the next one, and the next one. It's like anything. You got to get on a roll, man. You got to continually do them, and just you get on a roll, man. You just get in a groove. You know, it's very hard to just show up to a one-day live event and just put on a doing these live events and being towards the top. Now you start to turn heads. So until I can get to that point, I kind of have to put that on the back burner because it's not something that I can participate in right now. As much as I want to and my heart wants to go into it, it's just in my life right now I can't do it. With my kids as well, my work schedule, I'm just not in position to do it. So hopefully I'll get there, and that's all I can do, man. That's all I can do. I'm trying, believe me, I'm trying. I got to meet up with Ryan Lambert. I got to show Ryan Lambert a thing or two in a live event.
I had to peel the layers back to try to get that. So we were talking a little bit about pre-fishing and things like that, your tactics for pre-fishing, the pros and cons to long pre-fishing versus, just getting there maybe a couple of days before, maybe information overload, things like that. What is your thought process as far as that goes?
Yeah, too much pre-fishing, I think, can be, you can't really get too caught up in one thing because everything changes. But, I mean, having that information, it does make you more confident. But sometimes if what you think you know isn't working, you got to be willing to change. And a lot of guys get caught up in that. And it's very easy to get caught up in that sort of, where you think you have something and you're waiting for it to work and waiting for it to work. It could go both ways, man. But having, I think, more knowledge is probably better than having less knowledge. Rather than depending on luck, you're depending on something that you maybe established, Right. So I'd be more in agreement with knowing more and pre-fishing more, having more information than less,
So let's put you in a scenario and just ask you this question and just see how Conrad Binetti thinks. Let's say that you sign up June 13th, 12th and 13th, and you go fish the Hobie Bass Open on Kentucky Lake. It's your first live event and forever. What are you doing in preparation before you even go to the lake? And then how are you breaking that body of water down after what you see on map study? Can you tell us your thought process and how maybe a guy like you might break that down?
Immediately I'm going to go to weather. I'm going to check out what the weather's been like in Kentucky Lake for the last few weeks. I'm going to try to get as much back information of the weather for the last week and down where you think these bass are going to be. What are the bass doing this time of year in Kentucky Lake? Are they pre-spawn? Are they post-spawn? What are they doing? You got to get all that information and then take what you know from fishing other places around the country and just start looking on largemouth bass are pretty, they're not too hard to figure out. They're kind of almost the same around the entire country. They use the same sort of structure, the same sort of feeding habits. They're almost the same, across the whole U.S. You really don't run into many different sorts of, bass mentalities. They kind of all got the same mentality, but, you just got to go back to what the weather pattern's been doing. I mean, a lot of your bass fishing is dependent on weather patterns. That's how I do most of my fishing, and just breaking down lakes, man, getting on Google Earth. And I'm looking for the most out of the way, off the grid areas that I can maybe sneak back into that guys aren't doing. That's usually my plan of attack. I'm looking at where I might have to go up a creek and pull through, or if I got to get out and wade and pull through, whatever it takes to kind of get off that beaten path. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you're in the back of some pocket somewhere, and it's inches deep of water. But on Google Earth, it looked like it was deep water. So it's not always a recipe for success.
So your preparation and your pre-arrival to the lake, the way that you're breaking down, you're going back and you're looking at weather. You're doing your information. You're looking up maybe fishing reports, things like that. You've
Right.
established that they got largemouth, they've got spots and smallmouth on Kentucky Lake. Kentucky
Right.
Lake's obviously known for ledge fishing.
Yep.
You go back and you look at certain times of the year, maybe break down what other anglers have done, see if their bait was given up on things that they were doing, and kind of
That's it.
reference back to see if you got similar circumstances. So that's what you're doing preparation-wise before you get to the lake. Now, what makes you decide to launch at a certain launch? And then once you're on the water, the area that you're at, can you go through how you break that down to where you get confident in finding a pattern and things like that to fish for tournament day?
You just got to go through what you're comfortable with. I mean, of course, every lake has a pattern that always, it seems to always work. But I like to always try to get a little different. I try to use what works and now make a change, make a subtle change. Because when you're using what everybody else is using, I just don't like doing that, man. I might take what somebody else is doing, but now I'm going to put my own little tweak to it. And again, not always a perfect recipe for success. Sometimes you'll try to make that change. Lake Okeechobee is a perfect example of that. You'll try to get cute and throw a different colored worm when black and blue is the worm. You will try to go, black and blue is the color for jigs, for a worm. You will go and you'll see 50 boats on a flat, and you'll go to another area. Okeechobee is a perfect representation of that. You try to get cute on Okeechobee. I think Iaconelli tried to do that a couple times. He didn't go to the monkey box because he didn't want to go fish with the other 200 guys that were going to be in the monkey box. Well, the top guys they fished the monkey box. Sometimes you try to get cute and you try to do something different, and it could blow up in your face. I mean, it could definitely blow up in your face. You got to understand that. So you keep that in your back pocket. You learn about the lake. You keep that in your back pocket. You try to do it your way. If your way works, fantastic. If it doesn't,
on water,
I don't know if it's right. But it's the way I think. I don't know if it's right now.
It obviously works for you sometimes, right?
That's right. I'm the champ. It works all the time, kids. I forgot.
But just to recap the interview, man, it's been a treat. It's obviously to have you here in the Elite Eight again. Like you said, the previous Rodney Kennan Award KBBT champion from the April bracket. The potential, the possibility that you have to go back to back. That's something that's on the table, something that you're thinking about, slightly, but you're never looking past your angler and your 1v1 that you have this week in Mr. Silas Garrett out of Texas.
Right.
It's been awesome to have you, man. We've had a good time talking, kind of ask you some questions, got to know you a little better, and even maybe got some information out of you, but it's really cool to have followed you this far. Looking forward to seeing you progress. See if you can get past Silas into the Final Four. If you do that, you would face the winner between Mr. Doug Wilson and Tori Webb. I think
right.
To advance to the May KBBT championship. So that would be a
it's
treat.
not getting easier, man. It's not getting easier. That's for sure. Jesus. It's not getting easier.
Yep. So, Conrad, take us home, brother. This is your show. It's been a treat to have you. Who do you want to give thanks to? Who do you want to talk about? Who supports you? What's your sponsors? And any last words that you want to say, no matter what they might be?
No, I just want to thank, like I said, my lieutenant who makes it possible to allow me to get out now with these last 3 weeks and be out at 6 a.m. I mean, she knows what it means to me. She watches on social media. She sees, what's going on. And, no sponsors. Just like to thank Gambler Baits, man, for the product they put out. I think I thanked them before. That's my go-to bait, whether I'm pitching, flipping, punching, throwing swim baits. It's Gambler Baits all the time. That's like my number one. And just say, my kids, man, who, they ask every chance they get, and they want to know everything that I'm doing, and, and they they love it, man. They love it. They love that I have such a passion for it, and I'm doing so well with it. So just that's it, man. I mean, that's all I can say. And Silas Garrett, just be at your best, man. Just be at your best, because if you're not, this run's gonna be for nothing, man. This run's gonna be for nothing, and you might not get an opportunity for a very long time to be in this position. That's what these guys got to realize. The next one is until next year. And I mean, I don't think you really want to hear me talk for the next year about winning back-to-back titles. Oh my God. I don't even know if
I want to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys unfriend me and stuff, I mean, I understand, man. I mean, I get it.
Here we go.
Here we go.
But
oh man, it's been fun though, man. I gotta tell you, it's been a blast, man. You guys have made this unbelievable. Your commentary, I mean, what you do, the amount of time you put into this. No, sorry. I mean, it's been one beautifully written thing, man. It's all come together. It really is. It's unbelievable. And we're going through some stuff now in this country that is it's sad. And I almost got out of the bracket last week. I messaged Nosar at like 3 o'clock in the morning because I was watching all of the looting and the rioting, and I knew my kids were home with the mother there, the mother of my children, and I didn't like it, man. I didn't like it. I said I don't know if I want to be out on the water, but I made arrangements. I called family members, and they said no, we'll make sure that they're all right. Don't worry. You take care of what you have to take care of. So when you have that support, it makes it, it makes it where you put everything you got into it. Great support system. Great support system.
We have a lot of guys and girls that were in this tournament. We asked them, who's your support? And then so many people talk about their significant other or their kids and things like that. When you have a good support system at home, makes life so much easier,
Oh, so, yeah, man.
When you're out there and just living life, you got a good support system that makes you even that much stronger. So awesome for that. Conrad, it's been our treat here at KBBT to have you once again in the Elite Eight. Looking forward to seeing if you can get by Silas into the Final Four to face either Tori or Doug, and the winner of that would eventually go to the KBBT May Championship the following weekend after this coming. So congratulations on your run. This has been a great interview. Look for it on KBBT. Share it, tell your friends about it, and we've had fun, man. I appreciate you. From all of us at KBBT, talk to you later.
All right, man. Be good. Thank you.